Okay, and we are live. And we are live. Welcome to the Scuffed Show. I am your host, Karma, and we are recapping today's events. I have a series of tweets to go over from things happening to Portland and also the Charlie Kirk Presidential Medal of Freedom Award. Alright, number one, Morgan Freeman. Hi, Antifa's not a real organization. Proud Boys are, Oath Keepers are, Patriot Front is, the KKK is, Heritage Foundation is. Antifa is not. Please listening. One, I attempted to just go to quote and be like, number one, wrong. If you've seen how Portland has been, it is a real organization. Because I know Scuffed Show has only been around for like a few days, but I've been looking at Portland, the recent Portland shenanigans, for years now, not years, weeks now, and it is bad. Alright? Again, Benny Johnson, breaking 36 House Republicans have sent a letter to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent in response to the surge in left-wing violence, urging that gender transition operations be disqualifying as a qualifying medical expense. We route out and concerned with the clear mental health crisis in the United States and the dangerous normalization of repertory transgender ideology. The brutal assassination of Charlie Kirk is the latest in a series of recent attacks with apparent ties to transgenderism. It is with these concerns in mind that we respectfully request that you exercise your statutory authority to remove 6 trait-altering drug regimens, procedures, and related providers from tax advantage qualified medical expenses. Now, let's check. Okay, here's the post of itself. With more, at least page 1. And again, there is a No Kings protest happening this weekend. I want to be at my local one in Phoenix, Arizona, but unfortunately, job, and I can't. So we will be covering No Kings with me and my executive producer J Dog on the Scuffed Show this Saturday, 7 p.m. Pacific time. Yeah, 7 p.m. Pacific time is when I try to start the show. Just today was a little bit late. All right, let's watch.
No King's Day 2.0 is slated to happen this weekend on the 18th, and I have a lot of thoughts about the efficacy of protests like this. I mean, No King's Day 1.0 happened several months ago, and its list of accomplishments is pretty much nothing. I mean, it was nice to have people out and voicing their displeasure with the government, but that's pretty much all it did. It was basically a cop-sanctioned parade through the city. However, I don't think No King's Day has to be useless. These are people who are looking for a way to organize, and they don't know how. So what are they going to do? They're going to take the popular movement, the No Kings movement, and voice their displeasure, express their discontent through those avenues, because they don't know any other way to do it. If you are a leftist who organizes in small groups as part of a larger nationwide organization, this is an opportunity to meet those people where they're at and try and bring them over and get them into organizing in a way that is actually going to accomplish something. Because again, I don't think No King's Day is going to do anything, but it will get people out onto the street. You will be meeting people with a little bit of energy towards trying to accomplish change right now in America. And so go take advantage of it and make some use of the 10 million people who will be out on the streets. And again, while I don't think these protests are particularly useful in a vacuum, that doesn't mean the Trump administration isn't going to use them to try and enact further violence against the American people by claiming they are un-American. Also, tangential to that, don't fucking register to go to a protest. Don't RSVP and put your name on a list to go protest. Just go do it. Especially.
Alright, so number one, I agree with people's rights to protest, no matter if I agree with them or not. However, as we've seen from Portland and Chicago, Chicago Broadview, these will most likely not be peaceful. Which again is why we will be keeping an eye out on these protests throughout the day, on private time, and on the Scuffed show on Saturday. So, I believe protests are a good way to voice your displeasure. It's also a good way to talk and have a solid debate. But then again, that's just my opinion, and I'm a retarded dumbass on the internet. So who gives a fuck about my opinion? Alright? There's our boy Nick Shirley.
And from people since they've been out here. I'm here in Portland right now, and it looks like Antifa, the protesters here, have had a shipment dropped off in a U-Haul right here. They're saying it's all the stuff that's been taken away from Rapid Response and from people since they've been out here. So there's a whole U-Haul full of stuff that's been getting dropped off right now of all of the equipment from the past few months of their protests. You have all this stuff that's getting dropped off right here. You have all the inflatables as well that the people have been protesting in. A little strange, they have a U-Haul shipment full of all the stuff that's apparently been taken away. So stuff's been coming in. There's still protesters out right now. It's like 4 p.m. right now, I believe. And the protesters are starting to show up here to the ICE facility in Portland. I'm here in Portland right now.
And we will be taking a look at Portland after the Presidential Medal of Freedom. So again, and from Nick Sortor, exclusive, a Portland resident who lives just 50 feet from the ICE facility lambasts the city for not quelling riots. Portland needs National Guard. It is ridiculous, in quotes, it is ridiculous what they're doing to these people that live here, that have been in the Iraq war and that storm with PTSD, shaking in the elevator. I see families, little kids crying. I just get PO'd. They already shut down the school across the street. They won't even let kids into that daycare. A resident says the city council and police are doing nothing to enforce noise ordinances. And of course they aren't, because they're fully on the side of Antifa thugs. And we've seen throughout the protests that they are on the side of Transquifa. Hold on, that's perfect. All right. So up next, and Andy, no. Portland tactics, Antifa tactics revealed in order to hide riot supplies and potentially weapons from Portland police or the PDX, PPD, during sweeps of their illegal encampment outside the ICE government facility. Antifa have rented a nearby storage space to stash their supplies. Tommy Boy caught them transporting supplies to their secret base inside the South Waterfront Heated Storage business. This is in addition to their Antifa safe house at Doxa Safe House, which honestly, cool.
Right here.
And here's Tommy Boy.
Oh shit. Thank you for the donation, Kyle. You're awesome. Yes, sir. Let's go see where they take it.
Well, this is a clip.
Look, they're going inside here. Look at this. They're literally going inside of here. They're literally going inside of this place. What is this place?
You are on private property.
What is this place?
You are not permitted to be here. You are on private property.
We need to figure out what this place is. I think it's a storage place. Reserved for South Waterfront storage. So they got a storage in here, you guys. They got a storage in here. They got a storage in there. That's crazy. South Waterfront heated storage. Did you guys know you guys are supporting terrorists out here? You guys have literal terrorists bringing shit into your company. You better you better do something about that before Trump comes after these people.
All right. So that is the storage unit. Eric Daugherty. And first, before we get to Eric Daugherty, another Andy No, who is the main Antifa leader in the U.S. 2.5 years ago, I reported on who was behind the Torch Antifa network, a violent group of Antifa cells that includes Portland's Rose City Antifa. Daryl Lama Jenkins, who owned the Torch Antifa website, runs the One People's Project, a 501c3 that solicits charitable donations to provide material aid to Antifa. Lawsuit uncovered his nonprofit owned the Torch Antifa website. Antifa International fundraised for his legal defense. I like Morgan Freeman, but this proves that Antifa is that I'm going to disagree with. This proves that Antifa is a real organization. We have proof. And this is quote tweeting Torch Antifa is an extreme. This tweet, Torch Antifa is an extremely violent network of hashtag Antifa cells in the U.S. Now we found confirmation about who is part of leading that network. It includes Portland's Rose City Antifa. Daryl Lamont Jenkins targeted me repeatedly, including showing up in person when I was in Washington, D.C. soon after I was being and nearly killed by Antifa in 2019. Jenkins One People's Project, a 501c3. He aids violent extremist groups and solicits charitable donations to groups. Do so. The group needs to be reported to tax authorities. All right. So also, Charlie Kirk has been awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom posthumously. However, because I want to get hold on. Let's get to. Oh, sorry for the mess. I've been at work and I haven't been able to do any of this. So, Charlie Kirk, Medal of Freedom Award. Okay. So, we are going into USA, a short by USA Today. Today is his birthday. He will be 32.
Now I can say with confidence, Mr. President, that you have given him the best birthday gift he could ever have.
Scrawny little guy like.
I was tuning up, so I turned off the camera.
Now I can say with confidence, Mr. President, that you have given him the best birthday gift he could ever have. It's such an honor and the recognition of a life lived for defending freedom. And that's what Charlie fought for until his last breath. I'll share with you that I asked our daughter what she would like to say to Daddy for his birthday. Excuse me. She said, "Happy birthday, Daddy. I want to give you a stuffed animal. I want you to eat a cupcake with ice cream. And I want you to go have a birthday surprise. I love you," is what she said. But Charlie, baby, I know that you're celebrating in heaven today, but gosh, I miss you.
Sorry, I had to turn off the camera because I'm tearing up. Alright. Alright. So, camera's still off. Okay. Okay, I'm turning back on the camera. Alright. Camera is back on. Alright, now we are going to go to Portland Live, see if there is any compilations of Portland. Here is Portland.
What's my favorite thing about the fall season? I would probably say the warmth of a home becomes even more enhanced. Whether
I don't know who these people are. God bless you guys. God bless you guys. You guys go home and oh shit. Oh yeah, yeah. Let's go.
Ah, here we go. BDF Blaze.
Hey, I'm gonna head out. You have a good night, brother.
Yeah, you too. Be
Stay
safe.
man.
I will.
I might see you Saturday.
All right. All right, for sure. I'll
I'm
be out
glad
there.
you remember me because when I walk
I
out,
do. I do. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I get it why people have to do that, bro. I
For
understand.
sure, for sure. Every time you see me, you know who I am.
Yep. All right. I'll see you on Saturday, hopefully. Yeah, because I've gotten there was a female out here that was with Black Rebel, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And she was all, and she's like, "I'm with you." I was like, "My bad, my bad, my bad."
Give us a sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't know, so we were all. I started videotaping him just in case.
Yeah.
I don't know who he is.
No, he's talked to me a bunch of times.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was in St. Roberts.
Fight the power.
Yeah, I was stationed over there in London.
Alright, so Tommy, either Scream or Tommy Boy's stream is cracking.
Portland Andy, if you're watching, we love you. If you're watching, we love you. Hope you feel better. What up, bro?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Amazing.
It was like a four block area where they wouldn't go.
I know, I'd
And
be
so
riding,
I'm like
just walking
telling
in
her, I
by my
finally
house
said,
and
I
shit, they'd
can't
be like,
fucking
"Tom,
leave. I'm surrounded. And I see the woman who had been
I'm like,
aggressive
that's
towards
so
me.
weird, but I love
She's
it,
all in
dude."
block. I can't really see who she is.
All right, so
Damn, you got two
I'm
broken
gonna
arms? What
use-
happened, bro?
I'm not gonna do it. I want to tune into the round table with Honey Badger Mom.
Face, and she charged me like a linebacker, hit me so hard it took me out of my tennis shoes and into a swale, which is like a open area in the sidewalk that's filled with plants, and was repeatedly punching me. And then I'm covered in pepper spray, and some of the protesters pulled her off of me. By this time she's completely disabled because she's got pepper spray in her eyes. And some people were helping her escape, and the other protesters like got my phone back for me, helped me up. I was very disoriented by that time. Katie was trying to help me at that point. She had been chased out just like minutes before and had come back looking for me, and then chased the suspect as they got into a car and were whisked away. I got my phone back, and I'm still 911 is the call is still open, and I said hello, and she's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not okay. Where are the cops?" And she's like, "You're going to have to walk around back behind the ice building because they cannot come to you." So by this time I have like 5 or 6 of the protesters that are helping me and walked with me around to where the cops were.
Now, these protesters that helped you, were they Antifa or were they just happen to be the local
We are covering
non-Antifa?
So
round table.
one
with
of them,
Honey Badger Mom.
a couple of them I would probably say are just, care about this issue. Some of them, one of them was an Antifa medic. I don't want to say anybody's name, but they've all been somewhat, nice is the wrong word, but cordial to me. And they didn't like that I got beat up.
Less nasty?
Yeah, I wouldn't even say they've never been nasty to me. Maybe not happy I was there, but like, this is wrong. This happened. This shouldn't have happened to you. There's one kid in particular. His name is Red. That's what he goes by. And he's Native American. And I think he's a sweetheart. And I know, I tell him that. And I tell him, you shouldn't be down here. This is not good for you. You're going to end up changing the course of your life by hanging out with these people. But I don't know what his family life is, but I suspect it's probably difficult. So anyway, they helped me to the police, and I made a report, and we'd identified the attackers within 12 hours. And they still have not been arrested. I was told, because I moved the woman's sign and I pepper sprayed the other woman, that it was more mutual, like mutual combat, even though we don't have mutual combat in Oregon. And I wasn't trying to steal the lady's sign, and I wasn't pepper spraying the other woman for no reason. So,
Yeah, it sounds to me like they're just looking for an excuse not to get
well, then,
involved.
yeah,
Speaking of that, let me just back up for a second. I noticed you report a lot with a young lady. I believe her first name is
yes,
Katie.
Katie
Is that
Davis
true?
Court.
Okay. And she also was assaulted, was she not?
Yes. That night that she got assaulted, just before she got assaulted, I had a security with me. Finally, somebody had volunteered. After Charlie Kirk died, men came out of the woodwork to be down there with us, which was wonderful. This girl was waving around this metal flagpole, and there's a video of it. And I said, "Get that back from me." And she's like, "What? Are you afraid of a flagpole? What do you think I'm going to do? Knock you out with it?" And my security grabbed it as it came really close to my head. And then he yanked it out of her hand and threw it down. And she got really angry. She ended up picking it up and going over to Katie, and it was a very long duct taped together metal pole that was hollow, so it had snap to it. And she snapped it, and it smacked Katie right across the face and gave her a black eye and a concussion. So,
Well, let me ask you this: what is the goal of Antifa hanging out at ICE? Are they just trying to make life difficult for the ICE agents, or do they have some, I don't know, some discernible goal besides just being
so the
idiots?
stated goal is to make ICE leave the city and preferably the state. And the city council has 6 DSA city councilors or DSA aligned, not, I think, 4 DSA in the DSA.
DSA, Democrat Socialists?
Yes. So it's like half communist, essentially. They don't like when I call them communists. So like we're socialists. But one,
No, they're communists.
they're communist, and so they're aligned with those goals. And they say, one in particular, Angelita Murillo, talks about how much she supports the protester. Actually did a TikTok duet with one of the women who assaulted me. So they are absolutely aligned with that goal, and they want to revoke the permit for the building. They're saying they violated their permit. They haven't. They're not going to be able to do that. But so that's kind of the thinking behind it. They also said, oh, we're using all their money, making them bring in extra people so they can't be out in the community. ICE can't be out in the community gathering up illegals. But that's actually not accurate either. So they.
So now, is ICE out in the community gathering up illegals aggressively?
Yes.
I mean, I hope so.
Yes.
Okay, so far, and it's been what, 3 months, 3.5 months now that they've been doing this.
And
so they haven't accomplished very much, have they?
They have not. What they have done is given a really nice platform for all of the city councilors and the senators and the state reps to go on TV on CNN and increase their profile while they do no protest and take no risks. And then these people down at ICE are getting arrested and either getting federal citations or charges and spending the night on the streets. They're true.
And let me stop you
Yeah.
there for a minute. These people are getting arrested. You said federal charges or citations. Now, citation, obviously, you just write them basically a ticket to appear in federal court, probably for a trespass. But the charges, what charges are being filed against you?
I believe, I wish Katie was on here because she could say exactly what they were, but it's things like if they push an officer or spit on an officer or try. One guy, this was wild. They had arrested him. He had done some, I think he'd pushed an officer, and they pulled him out in a white van filled with Bortak and him. And they got out into the street to the stop sign, and that kid opened the back door and ran. And they had to go catch him. So there's some de-arrests. He de-arrested himself. So I think he'll get charged for running away. So there's assaults, and somebody cut the wires that I think cut the internet to the building at some point. I'm not sure if they've caught that person. There's somebody that threw a big rock at an officer and cut his head open. I do know that they arrested a young woman. I have video of her getting right up in my face before they arrested her. She gave spray paint to some underage minors, and they spray painted on the driveway. And they saw her give the spray paint to them, so they came out and attempted to arrest the minors, and they arrested her. And when she went inside, she injured an officer very badly, and he had to be taken away in an ambulance.
Yeah, for those who don't understand, under federal law, spitting on an officer or pushing an officer are pretty serious assault charges. And will they get jail time? I don't know, but it's a felony usually.
So there are some felony arrests. So with the citations, a lot of these people are being deliberately arrested. They'll cross that blue line. they'll staple something to the plywood that's down there. They're doing things that they know that they'll come out and arrest them for, give them a citation. They take them in, they keep them for a few hours. They strip search them, take their ID. At a certain point, they had them go to court. This is the first time that I heard of them all going to court, and they could have anywhere from 1 to 3, and they got a chance to choose between pay $500 and you can come back, pay $100 and you're banned from the area. Like, so they were like giving them some choices on trying to discourage them from coming back. I also think that and I don't know this for a fact, but I'm pretty sure they're just collecting as much information as they can on the people that are down there regularly.
That, and when I practiced law, there was a saying that the process is oftentimes the punishment. In other words, the first time, the people you're describing painting the sidewalk or the driveway, it's a simple trespass or a minor vandalism charge, which is a citation and a notice to appear. But what happens is after the second, third, fourth time, they're going to have a real problem. It might not be at this protest, but it could be at the next one.
Yes.
Because that's not going to go away. And eventually, and they go before a federal, probably a magistrate judge instead of a federal Article 3 judge. But at some point, these judges are going to get tired of seeing them and are going to hand down. They're not going to send them to jail for years, but they will give them some jail time eventually if they keep coming back. Also, they're probably, most of them are probably getting public defenders because they don't have any money. But if they do have money, they have to hire their own attorney. And the cutoff for a public defender, you have to be pretty broke to get one. So yeah, they're not loving life at all. I'm going to ask again, if anybody at all has a question, hit us up with a speaker's request. Either.
Yes, there's a few here. I just got DM'd one. If I could please ask Honey Badger Mom why the entire left-wing mainstream media is denying the existence of Antifa.
I wish I could explain that, except for that it's, the hive mind, and they are the chaos arm of the party. I think there are people that actually, like some of the people that come in the daytime, actually don't think there's any violence happening down there, and were shocked when I spoke to them, was interviewing them, and then told them that I was repeatedly punched in the head and bear sprayed and robbed, and they're like, that couldn't be happening. That's absolutely happening. And then there's people that know that there's violence occurring and are fine with it. They want to abolish capitalism. We have communists in our government, whether they call themselves or not. So they're going to want to cover for them. There's a lot of propaganda regarding these people.
And I think also, just to chime in, I think a lot of it's just they're lazy.
Yeah.
All right, so quick history. Yeah. Quick history of Antifa is basically hold on, leave. It is basically the only way Antifa started was it was a communist opposition of the Mustache Man's fascist regime. So it started with being against fascism, but for communism. And communism is equally is I would say worse than fascism. But then again, these retards don't know what they're spewing on about. So yeah, let's go back. Okay, if I can figure out a way back. Yes, honey badger mom.
saw in the streets between
Sorry, had got it
2017 and
bungled.
2020 was
Communists
actually a lot
love
of
their
violent street
acronyms.
fights that they would start. And they would use, it was mostly street fights then, but they'd puncture people's tires. They would dox people at their homes. They used fireworks all taped together and with gunpowder. I'm not like a weapons person, and they would throw it into crowds. They did that a few times. This is before 2020. I know people that got stabbed during these fights, and it was mostly Proud Boys and then um, people who would call themselves patriots that would show up for these free speech events, and the men would get attacked. And then it kind of devolved after 2020, where that was a rampage in Portland for months on end in downtown and in other places. Like I saw them pry open the doors of the police union building and throw in a Molotov cocktail. I witnessed that with my own eyes. The police were watching. They watched him set it on fire, and then they decided it was time to break it up. And now it's, I mean, they just dropped caltrops in my driveway. So it's more low-level violence.
You might want to explain what a caltrap is. I don't. That's another
I
term.
did not know what they were until a few days ago. They're mine that I found in my tires are 2 pieces of rebar bent on 90-degree angles and then welded together with a single weld, and they sit on a ground like the jack, and mine are like 2 inches, mine that I found in my tires, like 2 inches tall with very thick rebar, and I drove over them not realizing, and they punctured my tires. So, and I live 90 minutes south of Portland out in the country, so somebody drove to my house, knew where I was, dropped him in the driveway. It's just a warning.
Zemo, is there a chat? Is the chat open on this conversation?
Yeah. If you have a question, go ahead and ask a question. But we like to keep it focused. And
CK has photos of these. She could drop those that would give the group more reference on what's been happening there too.
I would like to mention that this caltrap, the first time I'm aware that they were used to 16, 15 years, and they were used to against cavalry. They would split around in the fields, and horses would get really. So, anybody thinking that this is some kind of harmless prank, it really isn't. These things are quite dangerous.
Yeah.
CK was lucky that she drove over them. Not as unlucky. This is she would have walked them because she could really have.
And I have horses too, and glad that they were not like out in my driveway area. Which occasionally happens. So, and I'm fully fenced, so they just put them just on the other side of my gate.
Lucas, go ahead.
Hey everybody. Hey CK, Honey Badger Mom. It's Lucas from your DMs about the gas mask and the.
Oh yeah.
And the
hi.
Yeah. Hi. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. So I wrote down a few things. I don't want to take up all the time it would take to cover a bunch of this stuff. I did want to say the Anarchist Cookbook. That's what you were thinking about.
Yes.
Before. It was big in like the 80s. People would teach you how to build, make napalm, build bombs. It would get you on a FBI watch list in a hurry if you downloaded it off the internet. But I wanted to say, you mentioned the D team, and I was going to say that I think that the what we saw in 2020, that I don't know if Trump did this knowing what he was doing, but I don't know if you guys remember seeing in the news that black vehicles were going and swooping people up, and they'd disappear for a couple hours, and then they would just show up at their house later on, or whatever. People were saying that Trump's Gestapo was kidnapping people and all this crazy stuff. Now, I served in the military with the 101st Airborne as a infantry line medic in the Kunar province, and so we did a lot of when we had intel that there might be high value targets in certain villages, we'd go door to door, and we had this device that you'd get someone's fingerprints, you'd take their picture, and you would get as much information that the interpreter can get from people, and we would compile data of all of the people in these villages to start to build a I don't know, imagine a TV show with the detectives board, you know, you have the streams connecting everybody in which way. In 2020, Trump was picking these people up, and I believe, I don't know this for a fact, but they were doing the same thing. And I think that we haven't seen, I don't even think, I've been watching you for a while, Honey Badger, because you just leave it live. It's a real, true representation. But I don't think we've actually seen legitimate Antifa militants yet.
No.
And I think a lot of the major people that we saw back in 2020 have wisened up. I definitely think there's a lot more organization than even we're being told. I think that if the courts ban the military from being able to come into Portland, we will see real Antifa members. I think some of these people are being paid as rioters.
I hate to interrupt, but we're running out of time. We got a couple more questions. If you have a question, go ahead and lay it on, CK. If not, we can move on to Jim.
Well, CK, hit me up if you want that IOTV and the gas map. But I just want you to be safe. And if you ever get attacked again, just go run up towards the gate of the ICE building, lay down on your stomach and put your hands behind your back, and let them take you into the building.
Yikes.
They're not going to punish you, but it'll immediately end the situation that you're in.
Okay. Thank you.
Jen, do you have a question? Jen, do you have a question? Go ahead.
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to say, well, first, thank you for having this space. CK, Shelly is awesome. She's a great journalist, and she's a great friend, and I always have so much fun going with her.
You're the only person that would say this was fun.
I mean it though, I really always have so much fun going with you on the various little, assignments that you
Alright, so we're going to leave that because I'm going to check if there is actual Portland stuff. I don't see Portland Andy live. We may not have anything, which means we will be ending the stream because there is simply nothing. Well, hold on. Let's go here.
Can you imagine one of these Antifa guys fighting like JD DeLay? How many Antifa do you think JD DeLay can take out in like 5 minutes? For like 100?
A lot.
Famous, thank you. I love you guys. I fucking love you guys. You guys have never had a job in your life. What are you, like 19? Still.
Yeah, I'm going to end the stream. Thank you all. Hold on. Thank y'all for watching. We're going to end the stream. And tomorrow I will look through even more stuff and then recap today's events then. So, thank you all for watching. This has This has been the Scuffed